Peugeot peeps, hi. This is Neshi Locatz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page, where we do our daily live stream about the divination cards that were drawn for the day. And basically, it's just me drawing a couple of cards with the intention of what is the most important energy for us to know about today. And so I've been doing this since May, and it has become an important part of my day. It's a part of the day that I get to be with some people in the chat room that I've come to really love to be around and hang out with. And it really does feel like a spiritual roundtable. I used to host those in the physical world, not the cyber world, when I lived down south of here in Poynette, Wisconsin. And one of my good friends and sisters, Teresa, she lived kitty corner from me, and she had this brilliant idea once that we should do spiritual roundtables, and I thought it was a great idea. But she had two small children at the time, and she says, would you mind if we had it at your house? And I thought, no, I guess I don't mind, as long as you help with it, And so we ended up doing those spiritual roundtables, and they were pretty informal. We never knew how many people were going to be there, if anybody was going to be there. We never knew what the topic was going to be. We just knew that we were going to have some interesting conversation. And my part of it was to facilitate, to make sure that who wanted to say something had time and the space to voice their thoughts and their feelings. And so even that spiritual roundtable came to mean a great deal to me. I met many, many people, and many of those people are still in my life. Yeah. I remember one time I was taking care of my parents. One of them had a doctor's appointment or something like that. And I had to be gone that morning, but Teresa came over and she made sure that everybody was welcome when they came in. It was always a potluck. We started at 10 and everybody had to be out by 3. And sometimes that didn't happen. Sometimes people were still there around 4 o'clock. So, yeah. And so, those actually took on a kind of a life of their own. I would come in the house and people would be there, and friends of mine in the kitchen, making sure, meals were getting heated up and warmed up and that kind of stuff. It was fun. It was fun. Hey, good morning, Mary Summers. She just joined. Glad you're with me this morning for this live stream. So this live stream I do just about every morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, and it's all about identifying the energy that's with us today and why it's important for us, right? And how I do that is that I've used 2 different decks of cards so far. The first one was the Sacred Path cards by Jamie Sams, and the one that we're using right now is the Sacred Geometry Oracle deck by Francine Hart. And I sit with my spiritual team in the morning and asking them to show me. That's the intention, right, for the card draw. Show me what energy is most important for us to know about today, and for our highest good and the highest good of all, and that we can share with others. And with this particular book and deck, the way that Francine has it set up is that we draw 2 cards, and one represents the male and one represents the female. So the information that's coming to us comes to us holistically, right, and in a balanced way. Yeah. So good morning, Elise. Good morning. Good morning. I just want to make sure that every once in a while, I don't know why it is, but Facebook tends to not list the comments. And oh, good, it works this morning. Yay. It's always a good thing, right? And so while I'm at my phone, because that's where I was checking, I'm going to like the broadcast and I'm going to share it to my timeline. And I always forget this part. So now that I'm right here, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to say, hi, friends. I'm live streaming. And then please join. There we go. Make sure everything's spelled right. There's one. And then I'm going to send it over to Star Nation's Radio Network closed group. That's where a good majority of the Star Nation's community kind of hangs out, because we share things there that we specifically for them. And so it is, it's a good group. It really is. Lots of stuff gets shared there. And okay, so we're going to share it to the group. And just say I'm live streaming. And then please join. There we go. Just double check the spelling. There we go. And it really does, it's that simple. It really is. It just takes me a little time with the spelling piece because of those buttons. Yay, thank you, Elise. She says she shared too. Excellent. All right, so today's Wednesday, middle of the week, August 15th, middle of the month. It has been a very busy month, month of August. Got jam-packed stuff, you know. I'm teaching again this weekend. It's to a private party. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And this weekend I'm teaching about the MerKaBa, sacred geometry, and helping someone activate their MerKaBa and learn how to drive their ascension vehicle. So, and I haven't taught that class in quite a while. I was a certified teacher for Drenvelo, Melchizedek, Awakening the Illuminated Heart. I did resign my certification. You know, what is that thing about transparency? And the reason why I did is because there's criteria to maintain your certification, and you had to have I think it was six classes in a year. And around that time, my mom was in intense pain, and yeah, and so I knew I had to be here with her to help her through that, and I couldn't juggle it all, and so I ended up resigning my certification. Now, just because I did the resignation of it doesn't mean that I still don't have the experience and the knowledge base, right? And so teaching aspects of it, not the whole thing, but aspects of it. And good morning, Polly Joe. Welcome to the house. This is going to be a good morning. Love all these people in the chat room, and Esperanza's with us too. Good morning. Good morning. And so, and it's interesting with the card draw this morning and what card came up first. And the first card in the card layout represents the male energies, which is logic and thinking, our mental mind, and grandfather sky. Okay. And this is the first card that came this morning. Let's see. I'm going to cover up there we go. The MerKaBa. And I had to sit there and kind of smile and talk to my spiritual team and say, you guys are funny. You know, you have a sense of humor, because this is something that I'm going to pull out all my information about and get ready for the weekend. And so this is a three-dimensional drawing of the MerKaBa. And the MerKaBa is our ascension vehicle. It's also known as a star tetrahedron because there's two tetrahedrons, two triangles superimposed over each other. Can you see that? Yeah. One, the apex is facing downward and the other is facing up. And it represents balance. Balance in so many different ways. A balance in the male-female energies, balancing grandfather sky and grandmother earth, balancing heart and mind, a lot of balance. And here's what Francine has to say about the tetrahedron, star tetrahedron. And it's also known as King Solomon's seal. You might have seen that like on the Jewish flag, Israel's flag, I should say. And so it goes by several different names. She says that the upward-facing tetrahedron represents male, fire, and the blade. And the downward-pointing tetrahedron represents the female, water, and the chalice. Together, they're interlocking, interpenetrating, dynamic, balance, and expanded awareness. That's a mouthful. I'm going to say that again. Together, they're interlocking, interpenetrating, dynamic, balance, and expanded awareness. The shape is one of the primary geometries contained in the energy fields around our bodies. When activated, it forms a time-space vehicle of ascension. And actually, it's mentioned in the Bible several times. It's called the chariot of fire. Okay, for those who are familiar with the Bible, you know where those are located at. But it's about the chariot of fire. And in the movie The Mummy, I don't know if you guys watched that with Brendan Fraser, Imhotep, his soul gets separated from his physical body. It was one of the ways that they were going to be able to take him out of the picture, right? And you see an image of him, of his soul, riding a chariot down a stairwell and then out a door, right? He's in his ascension vehicle, in that chariot. It's also known as the chariot of fire. The Mer part of MerKaBa means light. M-E-R means light. Ka means spirit, and Ba means body. All right, I'm going to see if I can type this in so that you guys have it. So, and it's MerKaBa, and that is Mer meaning light, Ka meaning spirit, and Ba meaning body. Okay, there we go. MerKaBa. You'll see it spelled many different ways too. She says that in this card, you're connecting with aspects of your being that stretch far beyond your everyday life and promise to put you in touch with your higher self and universal wisdom. And when we do the unity meditation, I talk about the crystalline tube or the pranic tube, and that is located, that goes right straight through the center of us, right? And that is a part, an aspect, I should say, of the MerKaBa. And we bring in universal energy constantly. It's a gentle flow of universal energy that we don't even have to make happen, you know. It's constantly happening. What we need to do is turn our attention to it and remember that we are connected to the entire universe. Yeah. All right, I'm going to check the chat room here because you're chatting it up. Yeah, Elise is saying not long before I'm there. That's right, September 22nd weekend, you'll be here. Polly Joe, Aaliyah, and Esperanza. Hello, Esperanza. Rob Kendall is here too. Hello, Rob. Elise says, have you heard anything about Mervin's mom? A little bit. I did ask him yesterday. It would have been their evening. what happened with the doctor, and he said that they really couldn't identify. He was rather disappointed in the medical system. Go figure. And that she's home and she's stable. That she wants him to continue with his travel plans. His sister is going to be with their mom, and sounds like other family members too. And so she's well enough for him to be able to travel, to leave for the States. So that's about the extent that I know. I'm sure when he gets a chance, he'll send us out a message. Maybe once he hits the States, because I think he's leaving, I think Thursday, I think tomorrow. I think that's what he said, tomorrow. So because he has to be ready to teach on Saturday, right? So yeah, I'm sure he'll let us know. In fact, I will send him a message and ask him if when he has time, if he could send out a message to everybody. Yum, caffeine. All right, so the MerKaBa. So it's connecting us with an aspect of that stretches. She says stretches far beyond our everyday life, and a promise to put you in touch with your higher self and universal wisdom. You are becoming a seeker of intuitive knowledge. She says that it's no small venture, and it may become a significant part of your life path. Now, from personal experience, I agree with her. When I first started working with sacred geometry, it actually came through the MerKaBa. I was at not Barnes and Noble, Borders. And I was looking, I just went in just to poke around. I wasn't even there for anything specific, right? And I was looking at the esoteric books and the larger books up on top, on the near the top shelf. And I saw this purple book. The spine was purple. And so I pulled it out and I started pulling it out, and it literally came out and fell on the floor on top of my foot, and face up, front cover up. And it was a picture of the flower of life. And the book is titled "The Ancient Secrets of the Flower of Life." That's it. And it was volume 2, and it was by Drenville Melchizedek. And I bought it. I had to. I mean, when I picked it up and held it in my hand, it felt like it was vibrating. And so I thought, okay, it's an intense book. It's intense. There's a lot of information in there. And in the back, the very back, there's a pattern to make a three-dimensional MerKaBa, right? All right. So that's how I started this. And I finally got the pattern to work. I threw away the instructions because I just couldn't get it to work. And I finally got it put together. And I met my first teacher with the sacred geometry in the MerKaBa, and that was Maureen St. Germain. And that's when she lived in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Since moved to New York, and so I studied with her for about 2 years, I guess it was. And yeah, that's how we got started. And so the sacred geometry path started with the MerKaBa, and it really did shift a lot of things in my life, to the point that I remember one time Paul telling me, this was a few years after the fact, and he said, that work, that study is what really helped kind of balance out the emotional waves. Sometimes that wave was pretty big and then fly away, and then there would be the little ones, right? And so it's not so much of a roller coaster, and it's a protection. It's it's five layers of light, and it's impenetrable. And anything that does come through, that feels like it's negative, it means that that's something that you have to pay attention to, and that's a part of a life lesson. So there's not a questioning about it, right? And so yeah, it certainly did expand my worldview, um, and how I look at life. Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. How I look at life. Because remember when we first started doing the geometry cards, I had shared with you that I was a seeker for sure. I was looking for information and understanding beyond organized religion. I was looking for the root. Where did this all start? How did we even come to be here? And I, when you through the organized religion, it doesn't matter, what denomination it is. It doesn't matter if it's Christian or Native American traditional. So many times the information comes through the lens or the filter of humans, right? And so when that happens, it gets a little bent, sometimes downright twisted. And how I even got that way had that thought is because I remember sitting in a Christmas play kind of thing, watching my nieces. This was years ago. They were very young at the time. And they were the children of the church, because it was a private school. It was a Lutheran school, grade school. Oh no, really? No. I don't know. Sorry about that. Oh my gosh, that is. I don't even know who that was. Most people know that I'm doing a live stream. Anyway, they had the children had made a circle around the congregation, and they were holding battery operated candles, right? And they were singing Silent Night. It was so beautiful. It moved me to tears, right? And it was so pure. It was so pure from their hearts. And then the minister started to do his thing after they were done. And he was talking about fearing God, and it's like, I knew it in that moment in my heart. I knew that there was something so much more. And that really started that questioning for me. And so in my journey in searching for this, gotta love it. Oh, good morning, Margaret. And searching for the root, right? And searching for that root information. And that's how I got led to the sacred geometry through the MerKaBa. Francine says that sacred geometry is about shifting individual and planetary consciousness from duality consciousness to unity consciousness, which is love, compassion, and a heart connection. She says, be prepared for the adventure of a lifetime as you step into the outer limits of human potential. That one part of that sentence about stepping into the outer limits of human potential. Literally, you get to feel the edges of your belief systems. And then when you go beyond that, then you start going, oh my gosh. It's the first time I heard, it's a creation story about how humans got to be here on Earth. And I had to teach it, and it's like, oh my God, how am I going to do this when I don't know if I actually believe it? And how I had to look at it it's another creation story, because there are many, many creation stories. I mean, just with Native America alone, there's 588, I think it is now, federally recognized nations, and each one of them has a creation story. Some of them are very similar, and yet there's nuances that are different. And there's many more Native nations that are not federally recognized, and they too have their own creation stories, right? And so that's how I looked at this. And the creation story from this standpoint has us that the extraterrestrials, if that's what you want to call them, star beings, manipulated the genetic, they're genetic engineers, and they were mining gold here for their planet, and the early hominids, or two-leggeds, here were used as slaves to do the mining. And so what they wanted to do was create a race that was more manageable. And so they took some of the DNA of the original inhabitants and some DNA from themselves and created this hybrid. And at the beginning, we couldn't reproduce because they didn't give us the ability to do that. And they would have surrogates to carry the baby and then to birth the baby. And then the child would grow up to be one of the workers, right? And along the line, the workers were, they had more intellect. And so they were able to think for themselves, and putting pressure on, they wanted different things. And then the surrogates were tired of being surrogates. And so the scientists of the star beings decided that they were going to manipulate the DNA and the makeup of the physical body again, so that they were called Lulus, so that they could procreate and have their own population, right? They were still manageable. There are aspects that were not, for lack of a better term, turned on. So like our intuition and our third eye and those kinds of things were not turned on. So we were more manageable. And then the evolution starts taking place, and yeah. So one of the things that was not activated in us or for us was our MerKaBa. We were the only planet, the only beings that didn't have an activated MerKaBa. That made us more manageable. And so the information was handed down from generation to generations, and it actually came through the Egyptian line, and that was taught in the mystery schools. But it also came through Lemuria and the priest system there. And when Atlantis fell, they had the information. And so it was taken when the priests went in their different directions. Many of them took that information with them, right? And so it ended up in Mexico, and just about any place you can find a pyramid, this information was available through the priest and through that class of people. And so it's another creation story. Some of it was like, oh, I don't know about that. And others was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. So that is, remember, that this particular card, I'm going to turn it right side up. The MerKaBa is, in this card draw, is on the right-hand side of the layout, which means that we're taking in this information through our mental mind, through our logical thoughts, right? Through the masculine energies, the understanding, the essence of the MerKaBa. Okay. And I don't know. I got to ask this for those that are in the live chat. How does this image feel to you when you look at it? Because there's an aspect of you, of us, that remembers this energy. It's our soul remembers our even our physical body, because it's in our DNA, remembers the vibration, the frequency of this image. It's interesting. The star tetrahedron. So I just want to say one more thing about the star tetrahedron, is that when you look at the image and you see the apex down here, this is the female tetrahedron. When you put the female and the male tetrahedron, and remember tetrahedron means triangle, when you put them together, that's what forms the star tetrahedron. There's two of them, and they overlap. You can almost see where the overlap is. Here's one, and then down here is the second one, right? Where they overlap. So female energy, male energy, and so you have the balance there. You have emotions and mental thought. So you have balance there. Like Joe was saying, fullness, filling, have one hanging in my healing room. Yeah. It's got big energy to it. It really does. And there's a deeper meaning to it, right? And I think that's the part of us that kind of feels that fullness, that filling. Okay, is that because we're talking about some ancient information here. Yep. Okay. Now the female information card that came this morning is this one, the seed of life. The seed of life. So pretty. Because when you first look at it, you see the flower right in the middle, don't you? The flower petals. Yeah. Remember, those flower petals are called vesica piscis, where those circles overlap. And those flower petals are, again, potent energy. It's in that overlap where the energies of the two circles meet, they come together, and creates that it's a spark of light. And it's about creation. Molly saying, felt a sense of wholeness when you asked about how it felt. Good. That's great. And Polly Joe is saying, we'll listen to the rest in the archives. All right. Have a good day, Polly Joe. And so the seed of life is about creation. All right. And Francine, this is what she says about it. She says the seed of life is 6 circles or spheres that are completed one full rotation around the middle circle. Right, so there's 6 of them there. This geometric configuration forms a beautiful 6-petaled flower, and it is gorgeous. Sometimes this image is referred to as the Genesis pattern, because the book of Genesis in the Bible says that creation was formed in 6 days. The seed of life is a key to understanding the expansion of new energy, information, and light as it enters consciousness. Okay, so this is about creation. And when we do the cell division, when a human, 2-legged, a baby is made, and it even happens in other relatives, other nature relatives, when the cell division occurs in that fetus, this has that look, is how the cells begins to divide. and create. She says, pulling this card marks the beginning of the change in the progression of your inquiry. You have left the security of the center like home of the known, and you're seeking a new way of looking at the world. She says that it's a pilgrimage that will lead you to a greater understanding of who you really are. It's a path of seekers. You're beginning an adventure that may become the passion that will fuel your life's work. So we're talking about a soul contract, right? Or life script, as Carl Franklin calls it, a life script. She also says, listen to the message from your higher self, and especially take notice of how synchronicity is at work in your life. Pay attention to what attracts you. Take heart and know that you are at the beginning of an exciting journey towards self-actualization. So it's a very positive card. Positive information. So we're right at the beginning of a new creation. And what did she say? It's a pilgrimage that will lead you to a greater understanding of who you really are. That you're seeking a new way of looking at the world. So really, it's about changing our vibration. It's about soul growth. Whenever we experience something that has a life lesson to it, and we work through that life lesson, that equals soul growth. That equals change, right? And with that change comes a change with our vibrational field. We get closer and closer to our original song that we came in with, because we're also healing those aspects of ourselves, so that our gifts that we came in with are more available to us, right, in their fullness. And so just this card alone, just this one, means so much. It's about our soul growth. Yeah. And it's pretty too. And so the seed of life sits in Metatron's cube, which is contains the tree of life. And within that is the platonic solids, right? The 5 platonic solids. And they are the building blocks of all life. So within the seed of life, you've got growth, you've got change. Yeah. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, so we have the two together. And the MerKaBa representing in the card layout the male aspects, the logic coming, the information coming through our logical mind, our mental mind. And the seed of life sits in the female part of the card draw, the layout, and it represents our intuition, our emotions, our feelings. Yeah. So would you call yourself a seeker? Are you a seeker of knowledge? Esperanza says, I remember this somehow, so very significant to me at this very moment. I asked Metatron to give me this information last night. Oh my God. See, synchronicity. There you go. It's beautiful. Hey, Renee, thanks for joining us. Yeah. And the thing is that when you are aware, consciously awake, and knowing that you're on this journey as a spirit being in a physical body, right? When you're aware, and synchronicities are happening all the time. And sometimes, because we're human, we don't want to look at them. because that means, oh my God, that means more work. that means another layer of healing. That means, yeah, that sometimes it's part of the purging process too. The longer we postpone it, procrastinate, the harder the path is, the more challenging it is. When we're paying attention and we see them when they're little, they can actually be fun. They can actually have some joy involved in it. It's when we dig our heels in and we don't want to change, we don't want to move, is when it becomes very, very difficult. It becomes a challenge. And I think we've all been through that at some time. And so that's how we relate sometimes, right? A little commonality stuff going on. Renee saying, absolutely. Molly saying, so cool. And she says, love my constant synchronicities. I know. And, it's like we know they're there, but when they happen, especially the ones that are really significant, and it's like, for me, it's like connecting the dots and being able to see the pattern or to see how they go together. And it's to me, it's exciting. To me, it's exciting and helps me to understand what I'm doing here, right? What I'm doing here. So with these two cards together, for the energy important for us to know about today, how it's flowing today, it's exciting. It's like we're on the edge of looking at our life in a more expanded way. And that, especially with the MerKaBa, we're so much more is available to us because the MerKaBa can actually help us to decode the light language that comes through. And so our intuition is also enhanced. Yeah. And so if you're the seeker, you have to look, how is this going to be flowing to you today? How is it unfolding for you today? And just notice, and notice whether or not you're that participant, direct participant, or if you're bearing witness to it. And in my world, both are good. In both instances, you're learning something, right? An aspect of it. It's good. So it's good stuff. So, and if it resonates with you, the information, whatever it was, is to pick it up and embrace it, right? And say, okay, what was this about? What was this about? Why did I get this information? How am I supposed to use it? And you're talking to your spiritual team. It's, asking them for help, helping you to understand it. Show me more, that kind of stuff. So you're embracing it. If it resonates with you. If it doesn't resonate with you, I would say it's okay. You can let it go, leave it lie. It wasn't for you. But I also add is that maybe it's just a planted seed, that you'll need the information somewhere down your path. And so there will be a memory. It's like, oh yeah, I remember hearing that one time on a live stream with what's her name. And so, and the recorded show video is always available. It's either here on Facebook or it'll be on our YouTube channel. And you can go back and watch it. Or maybe you're the messenger. Maybe you know someone who's been looking for the information or would find it interesting, quote unquote, interesting. And you can share the video with them, the link to the video, and be the messenger, right? Yeah. But in any case, is to be aware of how the energy is unfolding for you today. Be aware. Notice it. Yeah. Renee is saying, oh, yeah, that cosmic 2x4. Yep. I've had that once or twice in my life. At least twice. That was pretty big. But even with those, I don't recommend it. But what occurred after I worked through it, learned the life lesson, because both times it took me to my knees. First time, definitely. Second time, nearly broke me. And both times is when I was resistant to the change. And so if I have anything to offer, is that if you're in the middle of something like that, is to surrender, is to stop resisting, get into the flow if you can. It's going to go so much easier, much more graceful, a lot less painless, a lot less pain going on, emotional pain. But no matter what, at the end, when you're on the other side of it, and you start to integrate it and understand aspects of what you went through, the soul growth, you realize how really blessed you are in so many ways. Yeah. Esperanza is saying, I am now willing to change. Yes, it's connecting the dots. My intuition is on full tilt. Yay, me. Absolutely. Yay, Esperanza. Good for you. High fives. Renee is saying, so grateful for this today. Well, you're welcome. Me too. And Esperanza says, me too, Renee. Gratitude and a cosmic 2x4 hit me yesterday. Today is perfect. Yeah, you got it. Those 2x4s, they do get less and less. They don't happen quite as often, but when they do, huge growth, huge, like leaps of soul growth. And so I'd rather learn them when they're small and joyful, personally. All right, so enjoy the rest of your day. Join us this evening if you can. Polly Jo has her show, Soul Connections. We try not to call it a show because it really isn't a show. What it is an hour of healing, hour and a half. She creates this sacred space for us so that we can work with our spiritual teams. It's really good for energy workers who haven't taken the time to do self-care, that you can meet with your spiritual team and work on aspects that you've been meaning to, or maybe something just came up and you're going, I need help with this one. Okay, so Polly Jo creates the energetic field for us and helps us with the releasing of whatever needs to be released. And then she does a card draw for individually. So if you like card draws and would like to have a card drawn for you, her show is on at 7 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so I'll be there. I'll be in the chat because it's a good timing for me that I can actually do some of my own self-care, right? And then Thursday, join Minnie Kansman and I for Nature Adventures. And that's at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we are going to be sharing about Ireland. I love Ireland. If I could move there, I would. So we're going to be sharing about sacred sites that we've been to, the ceremonies that we've participated in or actually held. And so, join us. It'll be good. Be a fun time. Got great pictures to show you. We got so many, it's hard to decide which ones to share. Yeah. Renee is saying we start to notice the messages earlier. Yeah, we do. We really do. It's a good one, too. Thanks for sharing that, Renee. All right. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow morning with the card draw information and with Potawatomi, Bamamina. That means until we see each other again. Love you guys.